Okay, Bacha. So the topic that we'll be doing today is volume of rotation. First, let's just understand one thing. Let's take a very basic example. This is the y coordinate. This is the x coordinate. What if I draw a line on this and the equation of the line is y is equal to 2x? Right? And let me take another point. एक point यहाँ ले लेते हैं 4. And at this point, the x coordinate is 0. What if I rotate this line 360 degrees, this line 360 degrees about the x-axis? What shape will I get? Puri line, if I rotate the entire line, if I rotate this point 360 degree about the x-axis, you are right, I will get a circle. Then I rotate this point and this point. Now imagine you are rotating every point about the x-axis. So what is the entire shape that you will get? नहीं, और से देखो, this will not be a slitter. Cone, very good. The shape that you will get is, how do you find the volume of a cone? V is equals to, very good, 1/3 pi r square h. Let's try to find the volume of this cone through the formula that we already know. What is the radius of this cone? Is this the radius of this cone? No, this length is not 4. This length is not 4. If you find the y coordinate when x is 4, what is the y coordinate? Yes. Here x coordinate is 4 and y coordinate is 8. So is this the radius? This blue line is the radius, right? So what is the length of this line? 8. 8 is your radius and your height is, this is your height, which is 4. Is this right? Find the volume of this cone using this method. How did you get your radius again? Your radius is your y value. Is that right or wrong? And your height is your, if I keep on changing the y values, will my x values also change? क्यों नहीं होगी? अगर मैं यहाँ से रोटेट करता, I would have rotated a different point. 404 की लिमिट पे नहीं करता, किसी और पॉइंट पे करता. Is that right? We note it down, 256/355. If we find the volume through some other way and which gives the same result, will we agree to that? बहुत depth है, 256/3 pi. But basic, I'll try to help you understand जितना भी हम कर सकते हैं. Okay, पहले और से देखो. Can I say when you're rotating this line, are you rotating this entire area 360 degree about the x-axis? No? Okay, if you're rotating the line, I'm rephrasing that. When you rotate the line, so technically this area is what is being rotated 360 degree about the x-axis. Is that right? And this volume, when you're rotating 360 degree about the x-axis, this volume can be found by taking pi, integrating the square of y with respect to x, and the upper limit जाहिर से पता x की होंगी, upper limit is 4 and the lower limit is 0. Why are you squaring y? क्योंकि जब हम 2 dimension में कर रहे थे, you are finding area, we were just integrating y with respect to x, that was getting us our area. अब हम y के square को integrate करते हैं with respect to x, you get this entire volume. Integrating y with respect to x. सबसे पहले काम क्या करेंगे? We'll plug in y in terms of x. What is y in terms of x for this equation? Y is equal to 2x. y की जगह plug in 2x, integrate, will square it, integrate it, put the limits and then tell me the answer. Are you getting the same value or not? 2x का स्क्वायर क्या हो जाएगा? 4x square, and then we will integrate it. Remember y की जगह जब 2x डाला, first part is squaring, and then we can integrate it. Now what will be the integral of 4x square? 4x cube upon 3. Then plug in the limits. Remember, you will multiply by pi after putting in the limits. Do we get the same answer? Yes, we do. So obviously, har dafa we will not get such a simple shape. So whenever we are rotating 360 degree about x-axis, any particular shape, we can get our volume by integrating y square with respect to upper limit bs में limits किसकी होंगी? And if we are rotating 360 degree about y-axis, we'll integrate x square with respect to y, and the upper and the lower limits will be of y. एक चीज जरा I'll try to show you pictorially कि होती क्या है volume of rotation. Let's see. If I have this curve and I find the area 1 and 3 के बीच, is this the area I have? Now what if I am rotating this curve 360 degree about the x-axis, और यही limits के साथ में कर रहा हूँ 3 and 1. So ये पूरा area rotate होगा, and let's see what do we get. This is the kind of shape that we get. Is this clear? So when we are trying to find the volume of rotation, this is technically the shape that we are getting. The same area that we were finding through the integration, that area is what is being rotated 360 degree about the x-axis. Is this clear? तो लिमिट भी उस एरिया के जैसे लगाते थे वैसे ही लगाएंगे. वही पूरा एरिया बिटवीन द कर्व एंड द x-axis होता था ना. So whenever we will rotate or integrate, we'll get this entire volume. अब इसमें से कोई volume अगर हटानी है, ऐड करनी है, so we'll have to do other steps as well. ठीक है, इसको लिख लो पहले दोनों को. What if the rotation is not 360 degrees? What if it is 180 degrees? Very good. बस यहाँ पे पाई की जगह पाई upon 2. Just giving you a heads up. Is this clear? Done? सही है? Now let's have a look at this question. पहले first make the approach, उसके बाद हम बात करेंगे how are you intending to solve this question. We are rotating this curve about 360 degree about y-axis. सबसे पहले तो basic start लिखा करो कि how will we find this volume? Is this how we will find the volume? लिख लो. Volume will be x square dy. B and A. Now let's see. First thing that we have to do is we either need to substitute x square or we need to substitute x and then square it. What will be our limits? No, zero कहाँ से? Lower limit तो 1 होगी. Upper limit निकालनी पड़ेगी. How will we find the upper limit? क्या डालें y coordinate? y 0 यहाँ पर. Yes. Yes. Plug in x0, find y. That will be your upper limit. And your lower limit is 1. Find the upper limit of y first. Keep this in mind that you have the graph in front of you. Yes, so what is the upper limit of y? 9. X was 0. 2 is being subtracted over here. It goes on the other side. And then y square is dividing over here. It goes on the other side. Multiply. फिर 2 यहाँ के divide क्या हो गया? Basic maths, algebraic manipulation. 8 upon 2 is 4. उसका अंडर रूट लेंगे तो that is 2. सही है? So the upper limit is 2 and the lower limit is 1. कैसे लेगा? बगैर एलसीएम लिए तो आप नहीं ले जा सकते. सही है? So without having a single fraction, you just can't multiply y square on the other side. ठीक है? Okay, so now we can plug in x already. X is already the subject of the formula for the equation. So that part is already done for us. X की जगह we can just plug in 8 upon y square minus 2. The upper limit is 2 and the lower limit is 1. पहला काम क्या करेंगे? पहले हम इसको स्क्वायर करेंगे. Square it. Either make 2 brackets of 8 over y square minus 2, or you can use the identity a minus b whole square. Make 2 brackets of 8 over y square minus 2. This is the expansion. Now remember, you cannot remove this sign until and unless you integrate. So we haven't integrated till this point, have we? We haven't integrated till this point. We have just squared it. Okay? So now can we integrate each one of them individually? Integrate, plug in the limits, subtract, and then multiply by pi. What is the integral then? नहीं, do not call this reciprocation. I've told you. Y नीचे है, उसको ऊपर ले जाते हैं. We take the y up. Reciprocation का मतलब क्या होता है? Numerator भी नीचे आएगा. फिर we are not doing that, are we? So do not call this reciprocation. It's just changing the position of something between a numerator and the denominator. Upon minus 3. Minus 32y minus 1 upon minus 1. What about 4? कैसे y square? 4 is just 4. 4y. Now plug in the limits, and after subtracting the answers, then multiply by pi. सही है? Be very careful about this. This is the volume that you should end up with. Yes, 20 pi upon 3 or 20 upon 3 pi unit cube. Now let's have a look at this question. The diagram shows part of the curve this and the point this. The shade region is bounded by this. How is this region, how are they trying to rotate this region about y-axis? I've told you, how will you understand? Because beach ka jagah, this is not, they are asking you the volume generated when this area is rotated. If I would have rotated the curve, what volume will I get? Volume of the area between the curve and the y-axis. So pura volume aa jata mere paas. Is that right? But I do not need that entire volume. Now there are two ways to do this. हम या तो बोले कर्व को रोटेट करके जो वॉल्यूम आ रहा है कौन से सबट्रैक्ट करेंगे? रेडिएट तो चाहिए ना. उसमें से द इक्वेशन ऑफ द लाइन, व्हाट इज द इक्वेशन ऑफ दिस लाइन? x is equals to 1. If I rotate this line 360 degree about y-axis, सही है, तो इस लाइन की रोटेशन से जो वॉल्यूम आ रहा है सबट्रैक्ट दैट वॉल्यूम. एक तरीका ये. द अदर वे इज टू अंडरस्टैंड कि इफ दैट पर्टिकुलर लाइन इज रोटेटेड, the shape that we will get is a cylinder. Is that right? So I can just subtract the volume of this cylinder from the volume when the curve is rotated. इसका सिलेंडर का रेडियस निकाल लेंगे 1 हो जाएगा, सिलेंडर की हाइट निकाल लेंगे 4 हो जाएगी. वही उससे बस ये अंदाजा हो रहा है कि स्ट्रेट लाइन, दैट्स इट. समझ आ रही है बात करनी है? सो वी विल हैव टू सबट्रैक्ट द वॉल्यूम. नाउ वी कैन से वॉल्यूम व्हेन कर्व इज रोटेटेड माइनस वॉल्यूम व्हेन लाइन इज रोटेटेड. लाइन कौन सी? x इज इक्वल्स टू 1 की लाइन. और वी कैन से वॉल्यूम व्हेन कर्व इज रोटेटेड माइनस द वॉल्यूम ऑफ cylinder. Is this clear or not? So these are two ways to approach this question. Jaldi se whichever one you want to use kar lo. Volume when curve is rotated, and if you want to go for this one, volume when line is rotated. X की जगह remember हम x square करते हैं ना, so we have the equation of the line x is equals to 1. x की जगह हम क्या plug in कर देंगे? 1. जल्दी से निकाल कर बताओ. Subtract the two volumes and tell me what do you get. This can be replaced by a volume of the cylinder. I have already told you, but you need to be observant about it. First, make x the subject of the formula. Why? Because we are rotating 360 degree about y-axis, and that volume is found by taking pi x squared dy. First, we substitute this, we square it, and then we integrate. So for what is the square then? 36 upon? इसका square क्या आएगा? 36 upon y square. Again, we can write them together because both are being integrated with respect to y and both have the same limits. Limits भी ख्याल रखना. Now the limits will be of y, which is 2 and 6. तो इस तरह कर लें. Yeah, I am constantly telling you this can be replaced by a volume of a cylinder. उसमें radius और height देख के cylinder की, instead of doing this, you can replace it with the volume of the cylinder. Remember, we first need to integrate now, then plug in the limits, and then the final answer will multiply by pi. So what is the integral of 36y to the power minus 2 minus 1? इसका इंटीग्रल क्या है? y power minus 1 upon minus. Very good. And what about this one? Minus 1y. Very good. Which is just minus y. Now plug in the limits. Please be careful. इसको लिखने में भी please be very careful while writing this down. First you plug in the upper limit, minus, then you plug in the, and now the entire answer will multiply by pi. So use appropriate brackets. Make sure that your method is correct for calculations and even for display. If the examiner sees this, he knows what you're doing. The final answer that you should end up with for this one is 8 pi unit cube. Again, it's not my answer, it's the answer that students tell me. I depend on you people for the results. Tell me, what do you get?